Hello, I'm Jenna,
And I'm Priscilla.
and Amanda isn't here right now, but she did the PowerPoint that we were all supposed to work on together. And our project is about the LGBTQ community. And first off, I interviewed two people. One was a transgender and one was a pansexual. And a transgender is an individual who changes from a male to a female or female to male. And a pansexual is an individual who is normally attracted to a person regardless of their sex or gender. The person that I interviewed was a transgender. He was he was a female to a male. I know that he doesn't like specifically to be called she because he doesn't like that he was a female. And his mother passed away when he was around 4 years old. He grew up with his father. He was a family of three and was always playing sports and playing with cars when he was little. And as well, he doesn't like his legal name. He only accepts his last name to be called his legal name. He has a female name, but does not like to be called that. He said to me that he was never comfortable in the way he grew up. He always felt like he was different from other people and never understood what his identity was. He said that he was more interested in being a boy rather than a girl, and he told me that when he was a little boy, he wore swim trunks, he wore other clothes like at 6 years old, and his dad accepted him the way he was, and his grandma and his grandpa haven't talked to him at all because they don't accept him the way that he is because he's a transgender. He always had a problem getting into the workforce because of discrimination against his sexual identity and his sexual orientation. He has been taking testosterone. When I first met him, I met him in middle school. I grew up with him, and at first I didn't know he was a female, or you can't even tell that he was a female. He was always wearing sweatshirts and was always wearing like boy shorts, like gym shorts, and it would hide his female parts. And it would be hard to tell if he grew up as a girl. But I've heard from other people who have told me that he wore dresses in kindergarten and was a girl, but he didn't feel comfortable in that kind of situation. When he faced puberty, a lot of things happened, and he was so scared to come out and tell everybody how he felt. And he grew up with his father, so he never really had a mother figure or a girl figure in any way. So he was so used to having a male figure that he was raised as a male. And I also interviewed a pansexual. She identifies as a she. It's a girl. She has dated male and female people. She doesn't care about the gender of anybody, but she still dates them based on who they are rather than their gender. Some females were lesbian or bisexual, and some males that she's dated were bisexual. She grew up thinking that she was straight and having to deal with people around her who she grew up to be saying that males are supposed to be with females, females are supposed to be with males, but she grew up as alone because she never knew who she was, and she wasn't sure what her sexual identity was. And when she hit puberty, she finally got a little, like after high school, she got a little more comfortable of who she was and became more aware of who she was, and that's when she came out and told everybody that she felt this way, and everyone accepted her the way she is. I mean, she doesn't base people off her gender, she only bases people off the person.
And I just want to come in and I want to say that Amanda's not with us doing the presentation, but I do know that she interviewed a gay man for one of them and a bisexual, I do believe. So what she's the experience she's telling you and the experience I'm going to tell you, because I interviewed 3 gay people. I didn't really know a transgender or, a bisexual right offhand. But for the most part, the 3 gay people all had basically the same problems. But Amanda wanted us to share that she also, had interviewed a gay and a bisexual person. And they experienced these same kind of problems I'm about ready to share. The one person that I did interview amongst the 3, I knew for a couple of years. When I first started to know this man, I had no idea he was gay. He had no signs, no symptoms, didn't act funny, was normal, and always hung around a bunch of women. So I didn't think anything of it. Then one day I saw him coming out of the apartment, and he was holding hands with another man, and he had hickeys all over his neck. And at that point is when I found out he was gay. And we were, not good friends, but we associated. So I just did a quick interview on him. And some of the things that he told me, that, he grew up with his mom and dad. His dad was totally against his decisions on being gay. And his mom was accepting of it. So there was a lot of hostility inside the house. So he had moved out, and I guess he was living with these females until he moved in with the guy. And he just briefly said that he had hardship with hostility with people, in the society. He had a hard time finding a job, and I know that for a fact because he was always, didn't have a lot of money and always running here and there and just had a hard time finding work. And then he actually got hired at Olive Garden. When I found out that he was at Olive Garden, I was eating there, and I says, "Hey, how you doing?" one time to let you know something about that. And come to find out, Olive Garden has probably, I don't know the exact percentage, but at least 10 that I know of, because he had told me this, are gay and bisexuals at Olive Garden, which is no big deal. I just wanted to share that because that's how he easily got into that job, and they hired him with no discrimination, bias, and all that. So pretty much I just wanted to add in at least, somebody I interviewed. The other 2 basically said the same thing. One of them was lived with a single mom, and everything was fine in the household. And the other one, same thing. He was with his mom and dad. Everything was fine in the household as well. So I just wanted to add in, a little bit about the 3 people that I interviewed.
Okay, well, along with, you said one of the gay people you knew were in Olive Garden, didn't face any discrimination.
In Olive Garden, no. And I asked him about that, and he was back there. He was, I think, the dishwasher, if I'm not mistaken. But nope, he had no problems in Olive Garden that I was aware of, and he never, said he did. But I do know for a fact that when he went to, and I don't know, if saying the names of the places is what we should do, but a couple of restaurants and McDonald's were totally against it. They didn't come right out and say, "Hey, we're not hiring you because, of you being gay and your gender and all that." They just basically, I'm not sure what the excuse was that they told him, but he walked away feeling that they were discriminating against him. And then up until he went to Olive Garden, he got hired in right then and there. And then when he was talking to people, this, that, and the other, he found out that quite a few people at Olive Garden was gay and shared the same traits and, cultures. So it worked out really good.
Discrimination is one of the problems that people of the LGBTQ community face. Some restaurants or some workplaces don't accept people of the LGBTQ community based on their sexual orientation because of general stereotypes that everybody says about them, and that is another reason why LGBT community needs to be more
I just think there needs to be more awareness
awareness
of discrimination in workplace, schools, anywhere you go, like in your community shopping as well.
And with this discrimination, a lot of people in this community experience gender identity crisis, where they don't feel comfortable in who they are and don't feel comfortable in telling other people who they are, or they have no idea who they are. And it came to a point where people of a certain healthcare don't accept people with in the LGBTQ community because it says that people who are experiencing healthcare, that 64 people or 1% of respondents have experienced physical violence in a doctor's office because they are significantly more likely to be uninsured than the population at large. And that is one of the problems that the LGBTQ community face. And with homophobia, people of this type can be
I think aggressive and very biased. And I think a lot of the homophobias don't really understand. I don't know if you want to call them scared of gay people, because that's really the meaning. But I don't think they truly understand how the person is inside, how the person thinks inside, how the person, relates to their self, and how the person, considers who they are. I think more awareness also needs to be put out to people that don't understand, and give them more knowledge and education on maybe that, because I think that's important. And going back to gender identity crisis, the person that I interviewed, I asked, how do you know you're gay? And he told me straight out that he knew as a little boy, and didn't go into full detail. He just said that he had always been attracted to boys. And as he got up into the teen, he was attracted to, teenage boys. And just kept going at that rate. Now he's, up in his, 26, and he's still dating guys. So deep down inside, I think at a certain age, you probably do know what your gender is going to be, going to be for yourself.
And along with that, many other problems to face is violence. There's a huge crime rate with people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, because people don't think it's right to be in the LGBTQ community. And the crime rate of lesbians and gays is really, really far up. Like that gay nightclub that got shot up when, I think last year, was it, or a couple years ago, and there was other policemen shot because they were gay. While there were other problems, there's also theories that apply to the LGBT community, and I think that Erickson's identity versus role confusion is one of them. And this explains that it happens in early childhood through puberty, when an individual has a difficult time defining who they are and what they believe in, which is a huge part in who I interviewed. Almost all of them said that they had a hard time finding their identity because they thought they were different from other people. And there is also a homosexual identity model, and there's different stages of how a homosexual goes through their lifetime and what they seek to how they feel about themselves. And stage 1 is identity awareness, which is the part in which an individual sees themselves as different from other people. Stage 2 is identity comparison, and it compares themselves, and an individual compares themselves the way that they feel as heterosexuals. And stage 3 is identity tolerance, and during stage 3, an individual sees themselves and tolerates themselves with non-sexuality. Stage 4 is identity acceptance, where the individual accepts themselves and becomes involved in the gay community. Stage 5 is identity pride. This is when the individual feels proud of who they became and are more happy about who they are. Stage 6 is identity synthesis, and this is when an individual accepts their identity and becomes more aware of themselves and their new identity. And
how this is important to the workplace, to social work. The workplace. I said that wrong. How is it important to social workplace? Sorry, guys. It is important because you have to put aside all stereotypes and biases that others have towards the LGBTQ community in dealing with clients who are lesbian, gay, transgenders, and bisexuals. And us as a social worker going into this, we really need to hold true to our code of ethics. We always have to keep that in mind. We're here to help people, and we're here to make sure, everybody's treated fairly. This discrimination, is not, something that we need to do. And we need to advocate for these people. And whether, you feel as a social worker or just as yourself, if you don't agree with, the gays and bisexuals, transgenders, all of that, you still have to keep an open mind that they're human and that they're people and they have feelings, and some people can't help, the gender that they were raised with. There's a lot of other things that me and Jenna had discovered while researching this community. We failed to, mention that there's people that has been molested. I don't want to get real technical with it. Was molested growing up as a child, and some say that kind of like altered them to go into kind of the gay lesbian type of affairs. Also, we have had found that there's inmates in prisons, and this is the field I'm going into with probation and parole. So it's important for me to understand this as well, because we have inmates, young kids going into adult prisons and being sexually raped periodically, just different things going on. And a lot of them come out, I had found, I don't know the exact numbers of statistics, but that they had came out and they ended up, seeking the same sex as well. So I just kind of wanted to share that of what is important. As far as the social workplace, when you're on a job, I think discrimination should be highly banned. We can't change all people, but at least have awareness on the job, and at least, keep everything to yourself, because some gay people and bisexual people and that whole community could be the best workers that you could ever hire, and won't even, discuss the job or the clients or anything. I just think that everybody should be treated fair. What else do you want to add about that, Sweetie?
I know in the text that I read, there's other therapies to deal with people with the LGBTQ community, and there's one called conversion therapy, which converts the thoughts of a lesbian or gay or transgender or bisexual into thinking that they need to be involved with someone who is a different sex than who they are, which I think is completely wrong, and it shouldn't be. It should be banned, and something
basically putting them back to homosexuality.
Right.
Heterosexuality, my bad. That's what that conversion does. Mm-hmm. They try to convince you that homosexuality is wrong and that you're just making it up in your head, and that they try to do all these little tests and things to you to where they try to stir you back to heterosexuality.
Right. So that's the end of our presentation. And
we just want to thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.